Hello, hello.
Burgie boy, Simon, how are you guys doing?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad.
I feel very good to meet you. Very lovely to meet you.
We do the same intro like we don't even know each other. Guys, for the 9 of you that have joined us, thank you for getting through that long intro. Again, a few technical issues in the background. For some reason, the X wasn't quite connecting. If you could do me a massive favor, just to help the algorithm, just give this a share on whatever platform you're viewing on, whether it's X, Substack, LinkedIn, any of those things. Just make sure you share it on there. Really appreciate it. I can see the viewers are now picking up. Obviously, they've changed the way they're doing things on X. I was looking for it on my phone. I'm thinking, shit, they've changed they've changed where they put the live stream, but it's all good. Guys, very, very interesting week. Burge, have you been up to anything interesting? I know you've been hustling your face off at the moment, trying to organize these in-person meetups. What's been happening, my man?
Yeah, a lot of one-to-one DMs. You know, trying to make people aware of this new series of events that I'm hosting in the UK called On-Chain Society, which is, you know, the aim is to try and bring together these different NFT and crypto communities in the UK and basically bring the scene together as one. But been really fortunate to have the likes of Chimpers, Jacob, the founder there, or co-founder with Timpers, WoW as well, and even VFriends helping to promote the event. I'm in talks right now with Good Vibes Club as well to maybe put a post out and make their community aware. And you know, I'm sure we're going to have a bunch of people there. We've definitely got, you know, a mishmash of different communities right now. We got at least 4 or 5, you know, of the big ones. You know, VFriends, Chimpers, WoW, Bored Ape, maybe some Doodles folk there, maybe some Pudgies. We'll have to see.
You know what I love that, Simon. I'll let you jump in a second. But the thing about those meetups, especially the NFT meetups, is they tend to be a singular thing. So it's like, you know, if we go to the VFriends one, we kind of know what to expect now. And I'm not saying it's the same old faces or whatever, but you're having the similar conversations. Whereas I think that what you're doing is very clever, kind of cross-pollinating the different communities. And actually, that's where the actual network effects happen, and where you meet people outside of your communities. And then it doesn't become such a kind of player versus player thing, because you realize they're just, it's like someone on the other sports team, you know, when I don't know if you've ever played sport before, like I played cricket to a high standard. And when you lost in a final or whatever, you would go to the opposition's dressing room and you have a few beers with them. You think, these guys are exactly like me. So there's less of this tribalism. And I think the same thing kind of happens in NFT land. Simon, how's things been going with you, my friend?
Very good. And interestingly, I was running a session yesterday with a client, Gymshark. I was very excited because they're very cool. And not anything else. And my kids think they're really cool and wanted me to get merch, but I didn't dare ask. I didn't get that far yet. But interestingly, the session was on collaboration, and the whole tribal thing is really natural, isn't it? It comes up very, very quickly from some of the work we were doing, exercises we're doing. And I had a thought that when you've got your big event, you know, everyone's there, go say to me, you're not allowed to only talk with VFriends. And the Chimpers, right? You've actually got to mix. But interestingly, just as a sort of thought, I think because I think there's a real difference in NFTs at the moment, with projects, collections, leaders, teams, communities all supporting each other a lot more. There's a lot more of that than there was in 21, 22.
I think they're realizing that they need each other.
They need each other. We're on this together. It's a small enough ecosystem as it is. So why don't we just help each other? So in fact, that might reflect itself a little bit, you know, mirror that in real life meetups.
Yeah, massively. I'd just like to give a shout out to Mikey DLS, who's just reposted the stream. Mikey, really appreciate it. Do you know what? You do that on every stream that we're on, and it doesn't go unnoticed. So I really appreciate it. So chaps, it would be remiss of me with our American-based audience not to mention the Super Bowl over the weekend. I know nothing about American football, but one thing that stood out like a sore thumb to me, firstly, that most of X all of a sudden turned into marketing experts when they heard that fucking Coinbase launched this ad during the Super Bowl ad break. And I think Coinbase, there was a rumor going around that they spent like $57 million on this ad, which I know is fucking ludicrous. I think those Super Bowl ads kind of go for 8, 9, 10 million. And that's for a 30-second ad. This ad went for 60 seconds. Then there was like, because of the song involved, there was some obviously rights that they had to pay for and all these sorts of things. It turns out, I think this ad costs about $58 million. It's not so much the ad, but it's the allergic reaction that people on the timeline had. And it's really interesting. Did any of you see any of that over the weekend, or did you see the secondary sharing of the reactions?
Yeah. I saw a bunch of reactions. I saw a group of girls like singing along, enjoying the karaoke, and then it goes to Coinbase, and they're like, they were thinking that the song was going to carry on. I saw a bunch of guys who, I don't know if this was their actual live reaction or if this was forced, but like immediately flipped off the screen as soon as Coinbase popped up. They were like flipping off the screen. They're swearing. They're like, fuck this shit. But yeah, I mean, I would say it was successful in so much that it got normal people, got their attention, right? A lot of people, like, if you work out what an ad is, like, you work out what the ad is about, like what brand is it about, and you immediately, you immediately kind of weigh up, like, is that something relevant to you or not? Then like, if you can work that out in the first like 5 seconds, then you can tune out the rest of the ad, right, and wait for a next one. But they couldn't do that because they didn't know it was Coinbase. So they were invested in the ad the whole way, and then bang, it's Coinbase, which I think I was saying to Simon before the show, I think Coinbase have been very aggressive in terms of marketing in the US. So I think that's why you kind of got that reaction of like people going, it's Coinbase, because they're at all these sports stadiums now. I think they also sponsor maybe UFC, but if not, it's a lot of basketball that they're involved in.
We're not allowed that in the UK, are we?
Yeah,
I don't think they're not regulated.
No, I don't think they could go. I mean, I've definitely not seen a Coinbase UK ad yet, but in America, in the few times that I've been or seen, live sports, I see it all. I see it plastered all over.
Oh,
yes, this is one of the ones I saw.
Simon, I'm going to let you dive in after this, but I've actually just pulled the ad up, which I'm just going to zoom in.
Did it play? If you got a video, or is it just the screen?
Oh, no, it's a video, mate. You should see this. This is absolutely gold. Bear with me. So this is the Coinbase ad that everyone is losing their minds over.
Secure. Everything you need, you better rock your body now. Everybody, rock your body. It's so loud. Everybody,
That's the one where they're flipping it up and everything.
Oh God!
Can I just say, it's fantastic to see 2026 crypto's being fully embraced. It's mainstream and everyone loves it. We've come a long way, haven't we?
God, that is hilarious. I think, Simon, what do you read into that when you see that reaction from people?
Well, I can't work out from what you said, Burge, whether it's just it's a real because we've seen too much Coinbase, or whether it's a we hate crypto.
Yeah,
it
could be both.
I think it might be. It feels like it's Coinbase because it would be. Maybe they're all very like-minded people in the room, of course. But it would be sort of unusual, a whole group of people, every single human being in the room having that kind of a reaction to just crypto in itself, particularly when you hear the stats around how many people in the US have actually got Bitcoin.
True.
It's not, it would be,
True.
So
although the market is down, so maybe even those people who have crypto aren't feeling so positive. I feel like you're right. It's probably that kind of exhaustion of this like overload of marketing from Coinbase, and they've seen it so much. And I was saying to you, Simon, like, I feel like it's for a lot of these people, they're still not really aware too much of what crypto is. Maybe they've got a little bit more awareness in the last few years, but they're still not up to speed, really. They don't really get it. And so when they see Coinbase being like so aggressive in their marketing, they're like, it's almost like one of those things where it's like, you don't quite get it, but you see it so much that it becomes irritating. It's like constantly, it's almost like a constant reminder that you don't understand something. Or that you maybe need to do a little bit more research.
But it's probably also a bit of a reaction in the moment too.
Yes,
you feel a bit stupid. You feel a bit stupid because you're singing along. It's like you're doing a karaoke or something. Everyone in the room, and then suddenly you realize actually it's gone out live, and you feel really annoyed. I didn't know that was going to happen. So they probably felt a bit stupid.
I like the sucker punch of it. I think you're right, Bert. You kind of reel them in with the song that everyone can sing along to. Firstly, I think they changed their cover photo to everybody on the top of Coinbase's thing. But the thing it told me really is the allergic reaction was the disbelief. I don't know if you've ever seen that pain chart where it goes like denial, disbelief, maximum pain, or whatever, and it takes you over the thing. But we're at a stage, it kind of signaled that we're not at a stage of euphoria. Those aren't people who are having a reaction to something that's euphoric. And end of cycle, and a lot of people talking about it being the end of the cycle. But there's not that end of cycle euphoria, which probably suggests, and I know it's a worn out phrase, is that probably suggests that we're still actually quite early in the cycle, because if people are going to react like that. Now, look, that's one video of one house party with 10 people in, and we're forming an entire market opinion here. But it does actually, I mean, there were some other videos of people saying, the Coinbase and blah, blah, blah. And I guess a whole bunch of these, another part of this is not just the advertising. The price action is the best ad. And if the price action's down, your allergic reaction is, well, fuck you guys. I've put in X amount into Bitcoin and I'm 50% down now. So that's probably
retail investors for you. Like, that's exactly what happens. Like, people invest a bunch into Tesla, let's say, and then, you know, it goes down 20% and they're raging at Elon Musk. Well, why have I lost 20% of my money?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, exactly.
And it's almost like, how dare you advertise about crypto when it's in the state it is? Kind of, what are you doing? The other thing I was going to say is it can be a bit of a reflection. Where you said it's sort of perhaps the bottom and we're down there and we're not the end of the cycle. There's been a lot. Did you see there was quite a big spike in searches on Google for Bitcoin recently? The biggest spike over the last week or so. Now that could be, and you know, thinking retail. Now that could be searches saying, God, you know, just want to check I'm right. I've heard it's absolutely terrible. Or it could be, this is maybe a chance to get in. Who knows? There's
a whole marketing rabbit hole if you go down here, Simon, because the first thing is, who the fuck's still using Google?
Yes,
I know. It's just like, I think most people use like ChatGPT or Grok. They're probably, look, I know there's a whole ton of people still using Google, but I was going to come on to that. We look at all these macro signals. I think a couple of weeks ago, we looked at the ISM. You look at oil prices coming down, interest rates coming down, all these things that are like kind of the backdrop of financial conditions, and it makes us sound really clever. But I think the one signal, I think Google search is a good one, because you can see the trend of where the attention flows are, and the attention flows lead to buying. But Polymarket has predicted. I don't know if you can get something up on your screen there, Burge, but Polymarket has predicted that Bitcoin's probably going to go down to 60K. There's about a 40% chance, I think. I'm just doing this off the top of my head. But by the end of the month, it was at 60% that it was going to be up over 70 grand. So now that was before this whole thing, this Clarity Act. Simon, did you say this Clarity Act has now been pushed back until the end of February?
Well, I think it's been pushed back anyway a little bit, but the controversial question around yields on stable coins and whether people outside the banking system, i.e. the crypto exchanges, can also charge yield on stable coin is the massive sticking point. And they went and had a meeting yesterday, didn't they? And apparently, I was just reading about it. It said, it was a useful meeting. It was constructive, but they got to meet again, and they're going to meet again or bring people together, I believe, at the end of February. I might be wrong about that. So it feels to me like whatever's happening, the powers that be are really, the government is really, really trying to push this through. It's like, okay, it didn't break a breakthrough today. We're going to meet again end of February. So I do get the feeling that there's a will for it to get through. And as I said earlier, when we were offline, as it were, I do think there's been a kind of withholding until that comes through, and then can we get the price as low as possible before the floodgates open?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't
potentially.
I think you're right, and I don't want to get down the rabbit hole of conspiracy theories, but there was this thing online is like, actually most of these conspiracy theories turned out to be true.
Yes, I know.
I'm not saying that's a conspiracy theory, but it would be very unlike Donald Trump's negotiating tactics to publicly announce he's purchasing Bitcoin so everyone else can front run him, and then he buys it and it actually puts America at a disadvantage. that would be very unlike his DNA. He would, his strategic advisors would surely say to him, "We've got to buy this stuff cheaper." And also, because it's not regulated, you can manipulate the price of it. You had, who's the guy from JD Morgan? Jamie Dimon. He did this whole big campaign on CNBC saying, "Oh, Bitcoin's like a pet rock and blah, blah, blah." And then a week later, JP Morgan are buying this stuff in droves. So the price is collapsing. All these TradFi folks are like, shit, I can't buy this because Jamie Dimon's like the wise savant of TradFi. Meanwhile, his firm is buying up this stuff. So it is. But you could never do that in traditional finance because it's regulated and it's insider trading. It's insider because you're manipulating the price with information about it, and then you're buying it at a cheaper price. And now the whole rhetoric is, "Oh no, he was wrong about Bitcoin. Sorry about that, guys. I was actually wrong. I was mistaken." Mate, you do not say things publicly in the way that you do, guessing in the way that you do. And I actually think there's a trend of traditional finance folks now doing this. You know, there's that Tom Lee, the Ethereum guy, who does this outlandish fucking prediction of Ethereum, and everyone's, half the crowd are like, "Okay, well, I'm going to save this, so I'm going to dunk on you when it doesn't get there." So obviously Bitcoiners, but then there's another crowd that falsely believe it, and they're like, but what he's actually doing, which is very clever, is this the kind of rage baity, dopamine fueled price prediction buzzwords that he's kind of throwing out into the open is creating attention flows. It's creating attention flows to the asset. And this is probably what's driving some of the Google search stuff. But it's creating attention flows to his firm BitMine, but also Ethereum, which he holds a shit ton of I think a few billion. I think he's a few billion down at the moment. Burge, I'm just going to go on, Simon.
No, I was just going to say as a final thing on that at the moment, because we haven't got the Clarity Act, we haven't got the Genius Act through, the amount of manipulation by crypto exchanges is just all over the place. It's prevalent, isn't it? And when that comes through, there's going to be, I think, less wriggle room for that happening. And I think then people will feel more confident coming in. I think there's a part of that, just from some of the people I've been listening to during the week, because I sort of tune into a few people I really respect, and I think there's a lot of that feeling until this is sorted out. This is all going to carry on happening. You know, this kind of whatever's going on behind the scenes is going to continue. There's always going to be manipulation, but this is excessive, it feels to me.
I think without like when you don't have regulation and the crypto market gets to a point where it is so big, you're going to attract bad actors, right? You're going to attract manipulation because there's so much potential upside. I mean, we've seen it with like even on Polymarket. You see accounts on Polymarket up $500,000 or $1 million, and they're making predictions on things like crypto right before Trump makes a tweet that crashes the whole market 30%. I mean, how can that person? No, I mean, yes, maybe they get lucky once, but for them to do it repeatedly, there's got to be something more at play. Here's something you mentioned earlier, Jayden, about the prediction. I don't know if this is exactly what it was, but you talked about prediction of Bitcoin price. It hit in February. Obviously, we're coming up to midway through the month.
No, if you look at the top there, it says 17 days. So this is the end of February.
Oh yeah. So we still got 17 days to go. You've got this kind of like divergence here where you got 40% of people thinking that the price is going to drop below 60K in USD, and that's at a 40% chance. And then you've got this, you've got another group of people, and maybe they're the same people. Maybe they think it's going to go below 60K and then rally up. But then you got 32% of people thinking that the price is going to go above 75K. So there's definitely a split. One thing I would say is if you go back a week or two, we were in the same kind of mindset that we are now, in terms of we're about 50-50 whether we're going to rally upwards or we're going to crash downwards. And obviously we've seen things have taken a turn for the worse. and the market's trended downwards in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So I could see, I mean, 60K though, it's low. Like for things to drop below 60K, well, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. There are no catalysts that are going to increase the price of it. So if this Clarity Act thing has been passed, has been pushed back to the end of the month, I know we probably just need to sanity check that, but there are no catalysts that are going to increase the price. There's no interest rates coming down, or it doesn't appear to be. I know I didn't actually check the jobs data, which I think was yesterday. There's more data being released on Friday. So there's just no catalyst that's going to increase this. And I think the market have read Kevin Walsh, who's the incumbent Secretary of Treasury. I think they've read the market's read his signal wrong. You know, a lot of people think that he's more of a hawk on inflation, so he'll keep interest rates higher, which is going to crush crypto prices, without actually doing the math that it's Donald Trump who has done the interview process for these people to get him in, and he's had this long-standing disagreement with Jerome Powell. So he's not just going to get someone in as a Fed chair who's not going to do what he wants him to do.
No.
Yeah,
and this post is a reflection, just to say, that you put up, Burge, isn't it, of the end of the month, beginning of next month.
This is kind of confirmation of what Simon was saying before, of like the White House urging the crypto companies and the banks to sort out a deal, and they're trying to get them together again this month, I think, to try and sort something out before March. But as you were saying, Jayden, like like he's had this constant, almost feud with Jerome Powell that he's not cutting rates enough, and then you really think he's gonna get in another chair that isn't gonna cut like. I was confused about the market as well, because they reacted really negatively, as if this guy was going to come in and raise rates.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. I mean, it's funny. There was go on.
I was just going to say one thing about this post and everything. I get a feeling that the White House, Trump administration, are really desperate to get this pushed through. So it gives me that sense of, he's almost saying, they're saying, look, we can't hold off. We really want to buy some of this crypto, this Bitcoin, but we want to get it cheap and then it can fly. It gives that real sense of the urgency, interestingly, is coming from the White House predominantly. Obviously, there's
which is bizarre. We've never had that before. Usually it's the other way around. Now it's like
exactly.
It's like, obviously, I read a thing about Coinbase. On those stable coins, the yield they make, I think, is like $400 million a year. And so that's what they make. But then also it offers people on their platforms an opportunity to earn yield. I think they can do it with Ethereum and Solana and a few different like alt assets. But obviously the fear with the banks is that the banks are offering like fucking half. Like my bank offers. I got a letter from Halifax the other day to say that they were dropping the interest on my savings. It was already 0.5%, so now it's gone to like 0.35 or some bullshit. I'm like, guys, that's just a waste of a piece of paper that's come through to me. Like, why even send that?
Did you write back to them and say, "Listen, I'm in crypto"? What?
Yeah. I'm actually outpacing your. Like? I'm outpacing your 0.5% by minus 17%. So,
Jayden, you said, just quickly, going back to just topping the Fed chair. I guess he was probably told that if you get someone in who is so obviously going to sort of crawl to you and has no credibility, but it's just a pure yes man or woman.
Yeah, they won't be seen.
It's going to look bad, but you're getting someone in who, the other side can think, this person has the credibility and has a strong view on, you got to manage the money well. That's kind of where I'm thinking. Yes. But he also knows that he's going to bring interest rates down.
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% right, Simon. I think like when I saw the reporting of that Fed chair, and I had no idea really about him before, but the reporting was that he was a rare candidate that appeased both parties, that was going to appease that they thought was going to, appease what Trump wanted, but at the same time was appeasing the Democrats and in terms of being a suitable candidate, someone with enough credentials, has enough experience to do a good job. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens, but I do think the market reacted really negatively, which was a surprise.
One thing I find it really interesting about America, and I'll come on to Tay's comment in a second. Tay, do me a massive favor. Please repost the space out. Really appreciate. For the 82 of you listening, whatever platform you're on, please just share the space out. It's how the live streams grow. What was I talking about? So he Kevin Walsh, it was really interesting. There was this internet sleuth who basically got up all of his public comments, put them into AI, and then put it into a chart. And what actually happens is he's more hawkish when the Democrats are in power, and then when the Republicans are in power, he leans towards being more dovish towards business conditions. So he kind of someone was calling him a weather vane, which is basically someone who just follows the winds of whatever's happening with the current sentiment. But I mean, if you think back to 2008, where we had the Great Recession, Obama gets in power. Interest rates go to zero. And here you have this Fed chair. He was Fed chair at the time in 2008, suggesting to increase interest rates. So he is very hawkish on inflation, but it seems like he follows the tails of whatever the political view is of the time. And it seems as though because he's publicly been very negative about Jerome Powell, who's the current Fed chair, but he's been very positive about Donald Trump, which is probably why he's kind of, I don't know, playing this devil's advocate publicly, but I think he's just going to get out of Trump's way, bring interest rates down, roll the debt, and we are going to Valhalla, my friend. Your Del Mondo's day. No, Simon, sorry. Go.
Interesting point. On that.
They're going to go wild.
Just to comment on Polymarket, again, not much change from their point of view. And obviously, we often see Polymarket predicting things, but I often think Polymarket is just as reactionary as well. So, it predicts one thing and then, new information comes out and it completely changes. They completely change their mind. And obviously, the market changes. But just, for example, what they think is going to happen. In March, they think that the rate isn't going to change. In April, they don't think it's going to change, although there is a 20% chance that they think that it goes down by 25 base points.
Yeah. And
then June is the one where it's over 50% that they believe that there will be a rate cut.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that these guys aren't stupid. They've got this national debt there. I think it's like 14 trillion they need to roll over. They're not going to do that at 4.5% or 4.25%. They're going to do it at 1%. And then what happens when it goes to 1% is that we all get the same similar sort of rates, or we'll get the retail rate, which would be like 2.5% or whatever it is. And everyone is going to refinance their debt. It's going to create more funds in the system. I know for a fact, Simon, who I just called Dave because I was actually reading David's comment on the screen there. And actually you both look quite similar. You're going to buy more Del Mondos if you had more money, or you're going to buy more of insert whatever.
Yeah. Well, actually, to be fair, I was going to say anyway, regardless of, it's almost like, I'm not even thinking about the price of crypto at the moment. And maybe it's because being there so many times, like all of us have, and it doesn't feel, I know some people are probably feeling, oh God, this is terrible. I'm not really feeling it, particularly because I'm really loving what's happening in NFTs, and I love the bubble that we're in. And I'm feeling like it's doing its own thing at the moment. Almost, obviously there will be some ramifications and connection to the crypto market, but I do really like the fact that it's doing its thing still, NFTs, and it goes about its business, it does its thing, and exciting things are still happening. And it's a far, far more exciting, interesting, for me, place to be than just coins. It always has been and probably always will be. And it's an adventure.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that. I think it's the community aspect that kind of brings you in together a little bit. Well, not just a little bit, but then also it's kind of you think with coins, you hold a coin, the only thing you've got to respond to is the price on a chart. So when the price goes down, your initial reaction is, oh shit, this is not very good. But when you're in an NFT community, it's kind of like if the price goes down, people talk about the value of the art, or actually you go to a meetup and you're finding some inherent utility in actually holding the token, even though it might not be a part of the utility of the token. But you find other value adds of being a part of the community. But the main thing is the social signaling of the art. So if you just like the art and it goes down in price, it's kind of like, well, who gives a shit? Because I like it. I just want to come to Tay's comment. He just mentioned about that Kevin Walsh. He's historically been an inflation hawk, which is why crypto crashed after his nomination. Absolutely spot on, my friend. David Chuji, thank you for sharing the space. I accidentally called Simon David earlier, so I apologize about that, Simon. You do.
We're equally good looking. Clearly, you said we look like each other. Yeah, obviously.
Equally very handsome. And for the 109 people, I don't think it's actually pulling through the right amount, because on my Substack stream, it's saying there's 157.
Wow.
So
usually I think it only pulls X on that number, but maybe you've seen it being different. But
Burge, there's this saying we had in our family, which is never let the truth get away with a good story. So actually there's a 0 missing. Guys, there's actually 1,120 people. It feels like we're...
Or 15.7.
15.5 million. They forgot the M on the end. But just, I think that's a good segue there, Simon. We've introduced this new part of the live stream, which is Simon's Niche Nuggets. And I wanted to get this one earlier because I know he's dying to kind of speak about it. This was kind of, guys, this was born out of me and Burge sat here in awe of Simon about how he knows these niche nuggets within the crypto NFT space. And he goes down some rabbit holes and he finds out some stuff that you probably ordinarily wouldn't know about. So, Simon, I'm going to give you your 3 minutes of fame, my friend. Off you go.
Thank you. And I will try and calmly run through this, because I know I get a bit manic with it. We'll come to this later, I'm sure, because maybe Burge, we can bring this up.
Yep,
but there's V's post in a moment, maybe, in reaction to the Cyberkong's Death Star token, from one leader to another, a kind of almost like an open letter. Maybe come to just a few things that are quick fire. I don't know if you have seen, but there's this kind of like rush and rise of AI agents running fully on chain, but they're actually minting NFTs, and they are using whatever sort of software to in fact do these very self-contained launches by agents of NFTs for agents who are trading with each other, which I find extraordinary. I know, and it's on Solana because it's fast and cheap. Of course. And I actually did see a bit of this, of course, and I did see this happening, which I think could be an interesting, trend almost, or interesting to see where that goes. It's just a small bit of information. The other thing I noticed, which I think is brilliant, and I had thought about it myself to some extent for use in tokenization, is more soul-bound NFTs as proof of expertise or completion of a course or something. And because I do a lot of, obviously do my training work and coaching, I've often thought, one use case is that people could start tokenizing their certificates, their qualifications, because then they're becoming more than just a qualification and whatever else it might be. They become a network opportunity, an opportunity to use that qualification for more than what it is. It can then get you into other things, just like a traditional NFT. And I think it's really interesting they're soulbound.
I've seen some news on soulbound tokens where you've got Moonbirds, for example, distributing soulbound tokens to anyone who bought one of those physical bird boxes, the collectibles, and their plan is to for those people who receive those soulbound tokens, who bought that initial collectible off launch, they're going to receive like an ongoing amount of Burb token. So that was another, that was a, you know, soulbound tokens. We haven't really seen them used much in the past, and really we haven't seen much utility around them either, which is what really makes them exciting, I think.
I agree. Yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know, soulbound token is an NFT, but you can't trade it. You can't, you know, transfer it from another wallet. It will stay with that wallet till forever.
Yes. And so actually it ends up having a different use case. And it's interesting because I've, you know, qualified coach somewhere. I've got my certificate. I presume it's safe in someone. I've either got it on my laptop or the qualifying body will have a copy. But actually, you know, who knows? But the point is that if I had it on blockchain and it was a tokenized qualification, then it starts to open ongoing opportunities, particularly if it's in a smart contract that can do many more things than just this static ownership. So I thought that was interesting. That's coming through.
What you said there about the static ownership, because that's like a birth certificate, and then it becomes a proof of who you are online.
Yeah. People could look up your wallet and be like, well, Simon's done this qualification. He's got the soulbound token. You can't acquire it any other way.
Yeah,
I thought it was really interesting. Just a couple of other things. Increase in NFT trading volume over the last week, 30% up from the following week. So, well, crypto market burns. It's really interesting to see that. You can kind of see it over the last week. I've seen in the green quite a lot with price rises, etc., and the buzz around that. Interesting, Bitcoin ordinal surge is up 52%. So something's happening there. I always find it fascinating that, you know, why these things happen. What triggers them? You know,
when you say the surge, do you think it's the repricing in dollars? So do you think when ETH is going down,
possibly, or
Bitcoin's going down, people are seeing it as a good entry into the NFTs? But I think it actually speaks to the psychology of the buyer, which is they're going, the NFT is actually a safe haven. Whereas actually, if you speak to a whole bunch, if you speak to a whole bunch of people on the outside of the ecosystem, or even on the fringes who own a bit of Bitcoin or whatever, they're thinking it's like a scammy thing. But actually, the behavior on crypto Twitter, which is basically the hub of crypto and NFTs, the behavior is actually a flight to safety, because it's like, shit, I've got this coin that's dropped by 50%, but now in dollar terms, I can actually buy into that. I mean, we saw big sales on CryptoPunks. We sort of, I think one day there was like 25 sales. I'm seeing a lot of stuff. Simon, I'll let you carry on with your thing, but I'm seeing a lot of stuff.
You're totally right. Yeah, absolutely. Just one more thing. We've talked about this and we know this, is that there's been a little bit of a move away from just this idea of collecting virtual JPEGs to something with a bit more utility, and the idea of tokenized physicals. So the physical high value real world assets are being bought up by some big collectors. Okay, Simon, ready to FOMO? Yes. And
the timing of that was perfect.
Yeah, exactly. And the real world assets. So there's something about, we're not saying going away from NFTs in any way. It's just having a connection back to the physicals and back to the real world. And I think that's, I can see it without saying too much here, but I can feel it. I can see it being very relatable in the Del Mundo's kind of collection and their thinking. And I put here, e.g. tokenization of rare Pokemon cards.
I mean,
that's interesting.
We've seen it with Courtyard. I mean, Courtyard hasn't really, I mean, it's established itself. It works perfectly. For people who don't know, Courtyard is like where you can put physical collectibles like trading cards, and you can digitalize them and tokenize them and then trade those NFTs, and it has the physical attached to it. So if for whatever reason you wanted to, let's say, sell your card that was tokenized, and then someone else wanted to actually redeem it and get it in their hand, they could redeem it. They would burn the NFT, and Courtyard would ship them the card anywhere in the world. And it makes trading these assets much quicker, because I mean, even though eBay is such a big thing, even though cards are being traded back and forth all around the world, it's still a lot of friction compared to NFTs. I mean, I can sell an NFT to Simon in like that, but I can't give him my trading card and receive money it like that.
And
it would
him
take
know that it's
5
not a counterfeit.
exactly.
Is it really a PSA 10?
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. David's asked a really good question. What's the difference between tokenization and blockchain? Blockchain is the distributed ledger system, and tokenization is exactly what Burge is saying, is the process of turning something into a tokenized asset, or it representing a physical asset. So that's kind of like the differences, but I wouldn't mid curve that too much. Go on,
and then finally, if we do move on, V's post from World of Women, and just to say, it actually got what I liked about this was it was a very respectable but honest, almost like an open letter, as I said, and what I liked was the dialogue it created. Not a lot, but a bit of dialogue between V and Henry the Gape, the Gape, the Great Henry, the Great Gape, Henry the Grape.
It's a weird name, Henry the Grape.
Sorry, just for the record, just for people listening, I just want to say, when we were offline, me and Burge were speaking, and I mentioned something about art, and Simon misinterpreted it for arse. And I said,
looking up the art.
Up the art or something, or the art's going to go up or something. And he said something about up my arse. And I'm like, Simon, you need to get arses out of your mind. Anyway, carry on. Sorry.
Well, I need to get out more. So I think that what was interesting was, yes, I can't really say the founder, Bob, it's Henry the Grape. And it opened up a little bit of a dialogue between really V basically saying, kind of respect what you're doing in terms of innovation. Not sure it's fantastic for the NFT space, this idea that, you know, it purchases and then sells the NFT for 20% lower. I remember when we, in our Carrot Lane group, this was put in pretty early, this notion of what the cybercons were doing. And at first I had a very similar reaction. I thought, I can't believe it's so negative. And then I did sort of start to see, well, you know, I wouldn't mind as a passionate NFT collector of a particular collection purchasing it a bit cheaper, but I'm not really a flipper. So, you know, that's not my thing. So
I think it's not going to be targeted on, like, it's the fact that they're moving around projects is good, but it does seem, I mean, even with the, you know, the terminology Death Star, you know, it does. It's
a little bit.
It's got a bit of a TokenWorks Antichrist to it, hasn't it?
Yeah, literally. And I feel like when they're targeting it, you don't want your collection to be targeted. So that already gives you a sentiment, right? Of like, I don't think a project, if you owned a project, right? Let's say you're Jacob, co-founder of Chimpers. You don't really want the Death Star to be placed on Chimpers because it's going to buy up the NFTs and relist them for 20% less. It's not a net negative. It's not a net positive for the NFT project, I don't think. So it's one of those things where, well, you can tell from that sentiment alone, maybe it isn't a net positive for the space. You know what? Well, what it is, though, it's entertaining. It's innovative.
Well, that's what he says. And you'll see, it might be good to have a little look. He said it's a bit of a performance, it's a performative experiment. It comes up in the responses because it was a very respectful dialogue. It wasn't, you know, at all inflatory. It was just people just being honest. She said from one leader to another leader. I just want to get to understand what your thinking is. You know,
just a couple of things on that. Burge, are you still thinking that's shared because it's not shared on our screen? I'm just saying, do you want me to share it? Is something you want to share?
Share it up. It's just the response from Henry to V.
Right. Okay.
Or Vi. He just says, thoughtful response on my spaces today. I talked about how much of a grind it was to be a leader and a founder in this space. I have nothing but respect for what they do for their communities. Death Star is an experiment. It's performance art on the blockchain, as Simon said.
But you know what?
The reason he said, just very briefly, Jayden, was the reason he said, I talked how much of a grind it is because she said, I sensed in your voice on spaces that
some
you're
frustration.
Not happy and frustrated with a few of other leaders in the space.
Who was that little bit of a moment? Who wasn't happy?
She felt that he wasn't when she was listening to him in a spaces.
Right. Okay.
And she was probably thinking, because I get a sense that you're not happy, this could be seen as a little bit of a destructive act, but I don't think that's what it is. And
everyone likes open source distributed ledger system until other people do their own open source things. And but the irony is that, and all respect to V, because I really like her, and we're going to see her probably in a few days, hopefully see her in a few days' time. But she forked the original TokenWorks idea. And so who's to say that her way of doing it's different to this Death Star? And I actually think this Death Star, it's very provocative. It is. They've already said they're not going to do it on CryptoPunks. So clearly there is a negative.
She did say something about that as well. I think she said, well, if you're going to do this, let's not be selective.
Yeah.
There's something along those lines is, and
because clearly
if the goal is to challenge the entire ecosystem, then go all the way.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Here. And if the goal is to
doesn't feel fully consistent.
And if the goal is to challenge the entire ecosystem, then go all the way, selectively excluding CryptoPunks.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel consistent.
If you're swing evenly. So that was.
You know what? I like that. I've just taken that off the screen there, Burge. I actually think, in some weird kind of way, it may accelerate the punk strategy ecosystem. People are adopting the strategy token as a counter to this Death Star, and there's going to be all of these things. It's like there's always going to be things that counter the thing, which is why, Burge, you and I had a bit of communication with Adam Rhinotic on the timeline with reference to strategy, which is why these things kind of just have to get out the gates quickly. So anything that counters it doesn't have as much impact. Guys, just to the 139 of you that are watching, please do me a massive favor and please share the stream out, whether it's in a WhatsApp chat or LinkedIn or Substack or wherever you X, whatever. I know I'm saying all these buzzwords and I think it's actually ruining the reach, because if you say other platforms, X has this weird AI algorithm that slams it down. So I've got to stop saying that. But if you just share it on whatever platform you're on, I'd really appreciate it. Burge, I don't know if you can get the posts up from Adam. Now we've gone deep. We've gone deep into the TokenWorks ecosystem stuff here, and I think everything is in place. So I think anyone should be able to do anything they like. Adam took it upon himself to create this perpetual buying and selling protocol. There's going to be things that counter that. And it's for the space to develop things to make sure that it's not damaging, or to, maybe block these things, which unfortunately you can't because everything is open source. But I will say that I was a little bit disappointed in the communication that Adam's been putting out on his own X channel. And not so much the TokenWorks stuff. I think TokenWorks probably be doing more to share some more awareness to it. But I think there's this belief in his head that this, the product is just going to stand on its own 2 feet and it's just going to do its own thing and people are just going to adopt it magically. And this is how it's going to work. Do you just want to bring up the... I can't hear you, mate. You're on mute.
Sorry, I'm actually really struggling to find right now my response to him.
No, you deleted it.
That's the thing. I definitely haven't deleted it. I'm looking on that post right now. Right,
you hit a nerve,
guys. We have an ex-troll.
I mean, look. I'll share what I'm seeing. Like, I'm pretty sure it was this tweet that I responded to, which was Adam basically saying, and rightfully so, he's not spent a dime on marketing for TokenWorks.
Yeah,
you got Jayden's response here below. Now I responded to this, and usually, obviously, your response would be the top. Yeah. Now I'm not seeing it.
And do you know what? I think yours was a different message, mate. It was a different tweet.
It might have been.
Yeah.
Let me try and find it.
Yeah. But just give us the essence of what he was trying to say. Obviously, he's saying he's not spent. Let's just stay on this one a second.
Yes.
He says, I haven't spent a single dollar on marketing for TokenWorks. One is, I don't know really how to take that when the price is down by 90% from where people might have bought it. In fact, it's down more than 90%. From where people might have purchased it. I think it's quite a tone deaf message, considering he's getting a or he's getting a 2% rake from every Punk strategy purchase. That he's obviously feeding back into the team, and now he's saying he's not spending anything on marketing because in his mind, it operates as a self-sustaining marketing vehicle because each time there's a Punk sold, it's a news event on the timeline. My message to him was very much along the lines of, I think there is still a gap to be bridged between Punk strategy and the NFT ecosystems because there's a whole bunch of founders who need this thing spelt out to them. They need the value proposition spelt out to them. I actually think Deathster coming into the conversation, which is going to tank the NFT floor prices, is going to force people to do the strategy token as a counter. That is just my opinion. I might have just totally missed the mark. I don't know what you guys think. You've got your response there, Burge.
Yes, yeah, I remember now. I basically looked for a comment that he's already responded to respond to him again.
Right.
So I said to him, I leveled some pretty spicy questions. I said, what happened with new strategy tokens being released? I feel like if you keep releasing the strategy tokens for projects, then it does advertise itself, and maybe you don't need to spend on marketing. But as per your tweet before, you want to go off and explore more creative ideas, which I have no problem with. I think that's amazing that he has these other creative ideas. He wants to explore them. But if you're going to do that, then as we spoke about previously, does he pass it off? I said, will you pass off token strategy to someone you trust? And this was his response. He said, no, token strategy is still my project. It's fully permissionless and anyone can deploy a strategy for their collection right now. The problem with that, though, is that that's taking a very kind of armchair, leaning back in the armchair type approach.
Yeah.
As in, things will fall, it will fall, everything will fall as it falls. It's not to me to push this anymore, but I think he can push it, and I almost think it needs to be pushed. So I kind of replied back saying, really respect that he wants to keep it. It's his product and he doesn't want to pass it off. Really respect that. I think he's been epic for it. I mean, he's the one who's created it. At the end of the day.
Do you think that's also a weakness, though, Bud?
I mean, one thing that I did think was really positive was when he announced, he was bringing on these other advisors and people who were knowledgeable in the space. I always thought of that as a really positive move. So I don't think it is just him and him alone that's dictating the kind of trajectory of this project, of this experiment. But that being said, I mean, I think right now where he's out of wanting to almost shelve this or leave this to one side and go off and pursue something else, I think that's detrimental if he then doesn't empower someone else to really take the horns and run with this. So what I said was,
carry on, Burge. Yeah, carry on.
I just said, do you think? I said I do think token strategy needs marketing and continued work for it to be mega. Was there ever a possibility where absolutely anyone could release a strategy of any project? Because I was basically contesting his response, because he says anyone can deploy a strategy for their collection right now. But that's the important thing. It's only for their collection. Well, I mean, I don't know if I was just, maybe it was only me who thought this, but when this initial idea came about of strategy tokens, I thought it was going to be anyone could launch a strategy token of any project. I thought I could launch a strategy token. I
think there was always going to be a problem with that, wasn't there? Was there something about?
Yeah, that's just going to be.
You've got to have ownership of an element of it. Do you know what I think would be really useful for me is that I could see him thinking, if I give you the means, then each collection, I would love you to, and I would expect you to market what you're doing to the full. However, the one thing I think he could really do is, you rightly said earlier, there is an assumption. I know it should be easy to do, but there's an assumption that you just do it and everyone knows exactly what to do. What about releasing some really interesting, simple, fun and engaging educational videos on how you deploy, the benefits it could bring, because it doesn't. The marketing can come more through the educational element of it, and then you leave the marketing budget for what people want to use it for with the collections who've taken it up, because they're there to promote their own collection, their own token. That might be.
I mean, that's a way where you produce something, but then after, those videos are evergreen, as in like anyone can access those videos so you don't have to keep doing it. The other option is what Jayden's probably going to say, which is white glove service, Jayden.
Yeah, this is it. I think it's you think about it. Every single NFT project, the bigger ones, have a white gloves. World of Woman, VeeFriends. If you're buying a high-end trophy asset, you get to speak to a member of the team. They talk you through the characters. They talk you about the vision of the project and all these sorts of things. And that's just within the individual NFTs. Now you're talking about a company adopting a strategy token, and I don't know why they wouldn't do it, because it's going to save them all the legal fees, all the dev fees. They're going to outsource this whole function. It's going to be a fair launch system, so they're going to market by their own token if the business is creating productivity. And I don't understand why they wouldn't do it, but the only thing to bridge that gap is to have some type of client relationship or business development role that bridges the gap between the NFT project and the strategy token. And it's spelt out to these people. I mean, I've been doing videos on punk strategy, and I'm trying to break down the value proposition in under a minute to normies, and it is very difficult. It is very difficult to explain it. And you go, well, it's a kind of a perpetual. This is what it is. It's a perpetual flywheel that buys the iconic. Then I've got to explain CryptoPunks. Then it's like it relists it for 1-2 times premium. Well, why does it do that? Well, because it regenerates the fees to buy its own token, to then burn its own token, and then there's all these tokens in the protocol which actually protect your downside, and it's just this whole 4D fucking chess thing if you're not actually in the space.
Yeah.
And if we're totally honest with ourselves, there's actually a lot of founders who don't understand the space as much as you'd think.
Yes.
There's a whole there are. I mean, I know we're very close to the center of the sun with some of these guys who do and have been in the space for a long time, like the Chimpers, like the Good Vibes Club, like the VeeFriends, like Pudgy Penguins, like Moonbirds. They're all people who've had some history in the space, but there are a lot of people that haven't.
And Pudgy and Moonbirds, those weren't the initial founders. Those were people who've taken it over because they feel like they understand the space a lot more than the people they were probably taking it over from. And to your point, 2021 founders were maybe more artists or people who were, more in love with, like, even the guy behind Cool Cats and the art behind Cool Cats. He was an artist first and foremost. These were his creations, his ideas, but he wasn't. That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be the most savvy NFT crypto guy out there. I almost think the problem that Adam's making is that he's assuming everyone's as smart as he is. So he's assuming, well, I've laid out the strategy tokens. I've given a bit of an explanation of what they're about, of what they do. And now you can go and do it if you want to do it. And he's almost like in this position of like, well, if you don't want to go and do it on your own, then I'm not going to help you. But
but I'm going to take my 10%.
Yeah,
yes. If
like,
you're not as clever as I am, I have no time for you.
Yeah, it's like the Satoshi Nakamoto thing. If you don't get it, I don't have time to explain it to you.
Absolutely. But my thing is, if you explain something to people in their world, the best thing to do, without it being a little bit trite, because it's a used mechanism of storytelling, but you've got to tell the story in a way that makes sense to those people. And sometimes an analogy, instead of actually trying to explain the actual mechanism of something, you say it's a bit like, or what I would compare it to, imagine that you're in your world of whatever that might be, and just imagine this is what would happen to your product or your passion or your hobby.
We're getting a masterclass here from Simon of leadership coaching.
You've got to use analogies.
This is how communication works. The master at work. Although Simon, if you could just grab hold of your chair, because I don't want you to fall off your chair.
Go on.
Benny Del Mondo is actually listening at the moment. He shared the space out, which I really appreciate. One of the
very nice of him.
Yeah, I'm just reading his Chief Optimus Officer, which I really like, is in his bio. He shared the space out. He's really enjoying it. Guys, really appreciate anyone who shares the space out and who supports us by viewing. Means a lot. David has put a really good comment there about the Punk Strategy ecosystem. It has the potential to bring a lot of attention to the collection with possibility of getting in cheaper. I think what he means is the fact that the ERC20 token, ordinarily we wouldn't have got into these things at such a high floor price. Like Chimpa's at like 0.6 at the beginning of the bear market. Good Vibes Club, you're probably not buying at half an ETH when ETH is at like $3,000. But you'd buy a bit of the strategy token, and now you're getting a feel for the ecosystem. You're getting in the Discord. You're like, oh, actually, that Good Vibes Club Discord is a different fucking planet, mate. Yeah. That is the founder's DNA that every single person is living, and it's not fake shit. It's real. But I wouldn't have known that unless I bought a bit of Vibester. And now I'm like, oh, let's interview the founder, and then we chat to him, and then all of a sudden you're in the Discord, and you're like, oh, okay. Now
so
you've got
it becomes like a gateway drug.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's a crude analogy.
Go on. Oh, you're going to use an analogy. I like it. Go for it.
No. That is the crude analogy. It's a gateway drug to get you in to actually really like it's the hardest part. I think in NFTs and crypto, NFTs especially, right? We all know different projects, right? But we're not in all of them, right? You know hundreds and hundreds of different NFT projects. You can't be in all of them. You pick and choose the ones you want. So the hardest part for something like Good Vibes Club, especially a new project that came out in 2025, was how can we get people to adopt and to join this new community and get on board with this new project? And the hardest part is making people take the first step. But Vibe Strategy, or having any strategy token correlated with your project, allows people to make the first step at much lower entry price. Yeah. And it allows them to get involved and take that first step that then often leads to the second and the third, especially in the case of Good Vibes Club, as Jayden was saying, because once you get into that Discord, you get this extremely positive reaction of like, well, this is a great place to be.
Yes.
And it makes you want to...
Crypto's 50% down. This Vibester doing a hockey stick on a chart, and everyone's in the Discord like fucking, I don't know, like you're at some house party.
Exactly. I do feel that gateway drug extends to the leaders, or the leadership team, or the founders. And I know everyone knows this, and I know it's as old as time, but the idea that people buy people buy because you don't know what the future is going to be. You have to make some quite big or quick decisions around whether you trust something. No one knows if it's going to be successful, however nice and how professional, however credible someone is. You still don't know it's going to be. But if you're going to make a considered bet, or you're going to get behind something, you really need to get behind people that you can connect with. And this idea that people who are credible, people who are reliable, people who are very good at making connections. And the irony, as I always said about NFTs, is they are the most human part, or part of the whole world of crypto. They lend themselves to human connection, which is interesting, isn't it? Because it's a digital world that we're operating in. And just go briefly on the fact that with Benny Del Mondo, is that I got that from all three of them, by the way, just by listening to them, and also just going back in the behind the scenes a little bit. But what I was going to say is I told you guys earlier that obviously, and actually Carrot Lane, some people know more about what's going on behind the scenes of the Del Mondos, and I've been very, very mindful of not sharing too much. But Carrot Lane, the whole community in there, one of the beauties of it is that you can really tap into intelligence and knowledge and everything. And a couple of the people within the community, when I've been posting about Del Mondos in that little space, have reached out to me. People like Alex, people like it's a Constantine, have been in touch and said, this is intriguing me a bit. And then what's happened is they're equally nerdy as I am. So they've gone and done their research.
They probably found the similar stuff.
Unleashed hell. I've unleashed and I'm trying to contain it. But one thing that I found out quite a bit early, and then I found out more because of actually hats off to Konstantin for sharing a video that he discovered. And I still felt that I can't say to the community what I know, which I know is actually as if I think I'm some great guru. I'm not at all. But I realize I'm driving people mad because they're going, for God's sake, tell us what you know. But the funny thing is, Jayden and Burge, I actually did reach out to Ben, and he said, look, I was obviously indicating I'm rather desperate to share this video. And he said, look, really, thank you again for the support. Really appreciate it. Actually, we do have our own thoughts about how we want to reveal information. So if you don't mind holding, and I'm glad I checked, because the worst thing you can do as someone in this is think, oh, I'm part of a community. I've found out things, and therefore I'm going to do something.
The good thing about you, Simon, Simon, is that you didn't mention that on a live stream with 170 people viewing. You just said, oh, I know this thing, but I can't say. So we'll just sit here on the edge of our seats and go, okay, whatever.
I know.
But the thing
I had a school friend like you when I was 10, and he used to say, right, I know something you don't know.
I know.
And then
knowledge is power.
No. The thing is, Simon, if you discovered it, then other people, if they wanted to put in the work, and as you said, people in the founders chat of Carrot Lane have put in the work themselves and did a bit of research. People can find the information that you found. They're just not willing to put in the work. And in NFTs, in NFT land, everyone wants it quick and fast. They want the alpha and they want it delivered on a platter. But a lot of the times, to really get the edge, you've got to put in the work and put in some time to do that background research that you did.
And on that note, when I'm in Discords, any Discord, the thing that I know people we can't deny the fact that we all want prices to go up. I understand that. But for me, literally and genuinely, there are other things that are equally, if not more important initially, and it's about that connection and getting behind something. I think that sounds exciting, special. There's a kind of story being played out. It taps into the child in all of us, really. I think it's that. But what's for me is I do get turned off by people saying, oh, got to post this, we've got to do that, got to make the price go up, do you reckon we're going to get that and that? I kind of think, no, don't. It's not very
naturally.
Classy.
That's going to happen,
but I know
anyway.
It's going to happen if you believe in it. So instead of thinking, how can we make the price go up? What about just celebrating what you really, really like? Genuinely, I think when you start trying too hard, if I was someone like Adam, for example, Adam, who's been investing in everything recently. I would not want. I really would be a bit turned off by people going, "Oh, just tagging me into everything." I'd rather he discovered something for himself. It's not. People aren't stupid.
Especially
anyway. That's just me on my little high horse about it all.
Just to circle back about the people thing. The reason why the Good Vibes Club and the Chimpers thing is exactly what you said, Simon. Is the people behind it, but also the kind of sets of brothers and the fact that they're in this for the long haul, and you kind of know that they're in it for the long haul because you've got the one keeping the other accountable, so they're kind of stuck like glue. They're gonna see this through. And actually what these communities are, what these NFTs are just community tokens, and these communities have Lindy effects of, if they hang around for a couple of cycles, they're locked in forever. People aren't understanding it. But the actual network effects in the beginning are the hardest thing to develop. And once you've got that core, which is why I really like the fact that Good Vibes Club launched in the bear of the bear of the bear, and they had this fucking insane community. And then also the same with Chimpers, because they were the last hyped NFT mint of the 2022, and they worked through it. And now you think, okay, now they've been battle tested. They've developed a bit of a Lindy effect. They've come out the gates really strong with these strategy tokens, because not only is it a fair launch thing, but it is actually a lead magnet, like David mentioned, to get more people into the ecosystem. You buy a bit of Vibester, you buy a bit of Chimpster, and if the token performs, the strategy token performs, it becomes the best marketing tool. And because they're both revenue generating businesses, they can market by their own tokens. So they're in control of the performance of the token, which by definition they are in control of the marketing. So this is why this is just a rigged fucking game from the start. So it's just like this is.
I agree.
And people don't see that. They just see the price of the end. They just see the price go up and down. But when you actually figure out the fact that okay, battle tested, 2 sets of brothers, revenue generating business, market buying your own token. The token's a marketing event. It's buying up the floor, and it's a fair launch flywheel. This is, I think, the most perfect fucking thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, look, going back to kind of what we were talking about before.
Not me. How dare you?
Not your face. Not your face, Simon. No, I'm only joking. Simon, you're the best looking. Do you know what? There's actually, Burge, I'll let you dive in a second.
Yeah.
Simon showed us a picture of him when he was in his kind of like 20s when he was an actor or whatever. My goodness. Hey, mate, you must have. We've got
to get that on the show. We've got to get that on the show at some
point.
point.
No one would know. No one would know.
Mate,
you can't say that was you. I was, as you
like
know, very sadly. I was very sadly, as an out of work actor at the time, a Jason Donovan lookalike, and it actually got me more money in a night opening some mad little crummy nightclub somewhere in the depths of wherever. In one night than I earned as an actor in like a month.
Hold on, you pretended to be Jason Donovan, and did they?
I was. I don't know why I'm even talking about this. It's so embarrassing. I was on like the front page of things like Smash Hits, which was a magazine then, which was, does your boyfriend look more like Jason Donovan than this man? And I was like on Children in Need little events, and I was on these TV, like it was Noel's house party at the time. It shows you how old I am. And wheeling me out, I had to really, really bite my tongue and brace myself because I wasn't out of work actor. I needed money.
Hey, I don't want to know what else you did.
What I did,
Simon.
Hey,
I don't want to know. I don't
want
because I know you would have done some dirty tactics, my friend. Hey, listen, how you dress up on your weekends is your business. Burge, over to you, my friend.
So I wanted to kind of touch on going back to the strategy tokens.
Okay.
A lot of these, like, it's very easy to market something like strategy tokens because as opposed to that type of meme coin that Ben's talking about in his comment where he says most founders didn't realize that ERC20 tokens, meme coins were extraction events. That's the thing. Like the strategy token is such an easy convincer for two founders because it's aligned with the project. It's what you were saying, Jayden, just now. Like Good Vibes Club went hook, line, and sinker for strategy tokens because they knew it was aligned with the NFT project and the community behind, like the community that holds those NFTs. And that's the key thing here. Like it's an easy thing to convince these founders. But the problem that Adam's doing is he's just going, well, if you want a strategy token, you can have a strategy token, but you do all the work. I'm not going to help. And it's like, well, look, we're not asking for much here. All you have to do is give a slight explanation and explain it as, a token that you
content.
can,
educational
content, like Simon said.
But it feels like the burden's on the community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to say.
Someone put something up I just saw about asking. Was it Ben or something?
Yeah, no, but
I touched on that.
I think you've kind of addressed that question with Ben Fuller saying most founders didn't realize that the ERC20 tokens. I don't know what he says there. You under 002.
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
Were extraction events. Yeah, exactly. They just don't work. And it's like, I know Spencer came on the timeline. He's come under a bit of heat because just think about this logically. You have a coin and you have an NFT ecosystem. You now have two businesses that you have to drive attention to. You have two separate ecosystems that don't feed into each other that you have to drive flows to. In the beginning phases, it might be a positive thing because you can give away some of the tokens from your treasury as a bit of a value add to people who are investing in the project, or maybe like strategic investors who have marketing backgrounds who can support with the growth of the business, and all of those things work. but they just hurt too many people. They hurt the NFT holders, they hurt the coin holders, because people are front running the NFT to make the claim, then they're dumping the NFT, then they're selling the coin. And like Ben rightly says, it's an extraction event. But I think a lot of these bigger projects, even Moonbirds, have this view that they're going to create basically a meme coin. This is going to be a meme coin. This is going to be a Solana runner. This is going to compete with some of the altcoins. It's going to have these huge market caps. But the problem is that you're not going to be able to sustain that, not with a coin, especially in the down market. And I think it just hurts too many people. However, if in the case of the strategy token, the sales actually drive revenue back into the NFT, people on the way out, you're like, fucking fair fucks to you. You can do whatever you like, because it's still generating fees and it's buying up the NFT. So there's this kind of great equalizer to it. And it keeps everything kind of retained in the ecosystem.
Yeah, you still retain some of that, like those outflows. Like if people just dump all of their Moonbirds NFTs and all of their tokens, all of their Moonbird token, as soon as it becomes unlocked, they're gone. You know, you're not retaining any of that, whereas at least strategy tokens do retain it. And just last point on Adam, like, he's got a golden goose here. You know, he's done a lot of experiments in the past. This is the one that really blew up. This is the one that caught people's attention, that has attracted a lot of people. You know, we all own we all own different amounts of strategy tokens. Lots of people in the founders chat do, but even on the timeline, I see people, you know, adopting strategy tokens, holding it. You know, Good Vibes Club is a great example where they've really managed to get their community involved and actually owning the strategy tokens. Adam's got this golden goose here. He's had a hit with one of his experiments. He wants to, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's honestly, I speak from someone who's similar to this. Like, maybe it's a bit of ADHD in terms of he's wants to explore something new, and he feels like he's carried this as much as he can, and now maybe it's not as exciting anymore. You know, he's lost excitement behind it. But the thing is, he's got this golden goose. He needs to. I think moving on is the wrong move. You know.
Yeah, I just think that's just a bit of naivety from a young.
I think he may not be really moving on as well.
No.
I think there's still lots more to come. I just wanted to say, just for my own thinking, because I know there's so many people who will be tuning in who just love NFTs, and I wanted to circle back, if I could, for a moment to NFTs and just say, you know, I had that little idea about we should all have a buddy and we should call it my cellmate. Know when to sell. Please sell. Help me sell, because all I do is buy, and it's getting ridiculous. I need my buy mate. Because I can't stop buying Del Mondos. In fact, I sold my mother-in-law last week, and I didn't get much ETH for her, but enough to buy a few more Del Mondos.
Oh, I love it.
It's like, I've got a passion for for the collections I love, and for the teams I resonate with, and for the community I'm connected to. I really want to be a part of it. I do hope that I have some intelligence in my thinking behind it, but a lot of it is an instinct as well. I don't know about you guys. You just kind of read between the lines.
Simon, I trust your instincts increasingly more and more with these things, because me and Burge was talking about the Del Mondos. We're like, oh, well, we can kind of take that, and then all of a sudden listen, we're sold, we're believers. I just quickly before you jump in, Burge, I just want to give a shout out to Amit Butta, who's basically shared the stream out. He's become a founding member recently. He's been on an absolute tear, collecting VFriend specs. You would have seen him on the timeline as the Miami realtor. He's on a real tear. I think he's got like 35 specs, which is basically the top tier NFT that you can collect in VFriend's land. We almost went an entire live stream without mentioning VFriends. Burge, over to you. Thanks for the shares. I really appreciate it.
Another thing he swept as well were those B-pools, you know, the cheap B-pool VFriend collabs. Very smart, Amit. Really smart guy. I just wanted to say publicly, you know, as we're just finishing, you know, the conversation on Del Mondos, I do want to make a little bit of a public backtrack here, because obviously I mean, I don't know if you were able to catch the live stream, Simon, when you were away, but you probably shouldn't listen to it, because I really expressed my opinion on Del Mundo's, and I wasn't overly, you know, I don't hate the project. I just questioned whether it really had the legs to do it. But now, after seeing some of the videos you've shared with me, Simon, I'm starting to see a greater and a grander mission. And anything that has a grander mission, I think, has a shot, especially with what they're trying to do. Like that one video made me more invested in the project than I've ever been before. And I was very on I wasn't invested really before. So it's really made me lean in and really take an interest in the project now.
And actually, Burge, that's really honest of you and open. And I was going to say to you that it's not surprising that you weren't open to it, because we're already got such a foundation and mass of NFTs out there that people will think is, look, unless I'm flipping something, you know, and trying to make a little bit of money, I'm not going to. It's going to have to be something really special. It's going to have to hit me right between the eyes if I'm going to go anywhere near this. Not because it could just be a fad. It could just be this. Obviously, I felt I saw something, and I'm sure other people clearly did. And then I related to it in all sorts of fronts before I even found out more. And then when I found out more, I went, whoa. And it's partly actually what I found out, without giving anything away, was just the people behind it and their track record and their history. And I go back to credibility. And I think that's why. So I absolutely understand the instinct. Why would you, unless there's something really special? One thing I was going to say, they did a video, was released yesterday, the team, which showed Ray Del Mondo in his natural habitat, the metaverse, as he's a toilet attendant. But it's okay because actually no one eats or goes to the loo in the metaverse, so it's actually quite an easy job. But he's trying to get out of the metaverse because it's from one world to another world, I think, or something along those lines. But what I was going to say is that really reminded me of the storytelling elements that I used to, for a while, a whole lot of us got really hooked into 10KTF, who kept on dropping these really interesting Easter eggs, and really they kind of ignited that childlike wonder of what might be, and it's still obviously within me and many other people. So that's what I was also tuning into.
It's the storytelling kind of element of all of this. The one thing I just want to segue onto is Adam Weitzman. We seem to mention him on every live stream. We were talking about Amit buying a load of specs. It seems that these kind of whales are tuning into some of the top assets in the space. The one-of-ones, the collectibles, obviously like the Beeple art is a big one, which people don't really know about. We can even share it on here, Burge, if you want. But Adam Weitzman, obviously I didn't actually know him beforehand. Actually, he subscribed to my Substack. I didn't realize. I thought, oh, who's that? Didn't realize he was a kind of hotshot businessman. He got interviewed on School of Hard Knocks, billionaire, but actually a very nice guy, very down to earth. And he's come into the space. He's been buying some of the like the high end one-of-one NFTs in each of these collections, and somewhat ironically in the collections that we've been speaking about, Simon and Burge. I'm just going to share your screen. Have you got it to come up there?
I don't have an exact post, but I have his profile up.
Yeah, I think you just if I share it with you, just scroll down a sec. Just keep going. I think
he's been buying a lot of NFT projects.
Yeah, so he bought 170. Just go back up to the top. He bought 176 Good Vibes Club. Obviously, he had the one-of-one rare robot, which is like one of the top characters in VFriends. But he also bought 200 Moonbirds. And I had a kind of theory. I'll just take that off the screen, obviously, if there isn't anything to share there. But I have a view of this, and we saw in 2021. I can't remember who was the guy who bought all the apes. He had like 50, 60 apes. He worked for NASA as like a space engineer person. I can't remember his name. Anyway, he had like 50, 60, 70, 100,000 followers because he was sharing that he owned these apes and he was trading around them. But I think what is going to happen, and it's very clever, is that a lot of the attention flows are going to be inside NFT communities. We're not going to call them NFTs. We're just going to call them digital communities or online communities. And a lot of the attention flows are going to happen within these spaces. And if you happen to be one of the predominant collectors, like you own the one-of-ones or you own a huge chunk of the collection, it's going to drive attention flows to you. We saw it with, do you remember Aiden Tag, who was involved with VeeFriends? He did right at the very beginning, did a huge floor sweep. All of a sudden, his Instagram's got 100,000 followers. Mo, it was the same. He doesn't really post on the timeline, but his X account's got like 5,000, 6,000 followers on it. And I think what's going to happen is this is going to be influencer marketing 2.0. It's going to be the influencer marketing Web3, because you're going to own these trophy assets. That's going to drive attention flows to you in the same way that owning a Lambo and putting it on Instagram in the early days got you attention. This is going to be and it's going to be really interesting when we have the connection of wallets and the on-ramp of social, that kind of intersection of, like, you connect your wallet to your social media account so you can socially signal your assets. That's going to be very interesting because you're going to get a whole bunch of followers. And then just by owning the assets, it's going to create attention to you, but also to the project. So I can actually see, and more to your point, Simon, like, I can see projects strategically finding people who have a whole bunch of followers and getting them into their project. It just so happens that Adam is doing this out of benevolence. He's doing it out of the goodness of his heart.
Yeah.
And also, he actually resonates with the project and he likes it. He likes being a part of the space. But actually, what's going to happen is if these projects end up being some of the big IPs, that's going to drive attention flows to him and whatever he decides to do on the back end, which I think is real interesting. Any thoughts?
I totally agree. Aberge, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like people are like, we even heard it from Luca Net, and I don't think this was necessarily. It was a stream with Spencer and Luca Net. I don't think it was necessarily the right mentality for them to have, but it was kind of Lucas saying, "We only need 5 more Adam Weitzmans, and we'll be back, or 2 more, and we'll be back." And I remember reacting to that a bit like, well, that's not really the crux of it. We want more adoption. We want more. We want hundreds and thousands more people in the space rather than just 5 big whales to come in and inflate and kind of buy up everything. That being said, I do think you're right, Jayden. I think a lot of projects will look to, I mean, VeeFriends, but under the hood of VeeFriends, Gary does, he really does spend time talking with whales who are interested in buying 100 or 200 VeeFriends NFTs. Like he's willing to give the time of day, despite being such a successful businessman where his time's worth a lot of money. He's willing to spend for free that time to have that conversation with a potential whale that's willing to invest. That for a business, getting more and more people involved, getting the brand exposure, increasing the popularity of the brand, that matters a lot. But whales do matter for a business. They make businesses a lot of money. And these deals where Adam think about Spencer doing that 4-hour drive there and then back to have that meeting with Adam Weitzman, and then he buys 200 Moonbirds. That's a big deal. That's worth it for Spencer.
It's worth the drive.
It's worth the drive. It's worth it for the business, for Moonbirds as a business to connect and have a whale come on board, buy 200 of the NFTs, and maybe write a check to the business and become an investor. That is worth it. I think that's what we're seeing, those types of investor type deals, and businesses really thrive off of those. And
do you think it's the ripple effect also of his network also getting into NFTs? Because now he's sharing it on his, he's got a social media, he's got 17 million followers, but he's hanging around with other people who are the same sort of ilk. And they're kind of like, Well, if he's doing that, he must be seeing something.
Yeah, it would be very strange if he was never talking about it outside of this space. You think he would do? I was thinking that for people who aren't, mega wealthy but are big fans of a collection and are investing in it and talking about it, then I guess the next thing will be for those founders to think that that's wonderful and really grateful. If they were ever more a part of the ecosystem, it would also be about that they align just in how they are as human beings, aligned to what the collection is trying to speak to as well. Because you could have someone who is highly invested and you're really grateful for it, but they're not really a person that you want to bring too deeply into the ecosystem for whatever reason. So I think there has to be a number of factors, not just how much you're buying up, but also what kind of person you are as well. I think that will come into play.
Yeah. We did Simon's Nishi Nuggets. We're obviously giving these very original names. We started off with Burge Bites, but it wasn't provocative enough, so we went for Burge Bangers.
Burge's Bangers. Yeah.
There's a sexual element or twist that you could put on that, which is a little bit provocative and childlike because we are children. But I want to. So we're going to give Burge his Burge Bangers section, and it's where he shares one banger, which people might have missed on the timeline. So I'm just going to share your screen now, Burge. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So this is something that did make some waves, especially for regular folk, which was Pudgy Penguins really made this push around Valentine's Day to launch a new plushie to try and market it to regular people, as well as not just the NFT and crypto space. Because let's be real, if they did just only market towards NFT and crypto folk right now when the market's down, I'm not sure people would necessarily sell this out at $50 per plushie. But they were on Good Morning Show. I just want to play this clip.
And define like all at Banter.com. And then moving into, this.
So I don't know how much they paid for this or what they had to pull.
Pudgy Penguins was online.
What?
Pudgy Penguins.
What are they?
So this couple, Pax and Polly, has been the uber popular internet born. They have toys, they have collectibles, merchandise. If you've seen them online, 2 million followers, all about relationships. So they have their first plushie bouquet available.
Those are cute.
But this sold out over the weekend. That's how popular this is. And you can only get them right now at the Pudgy Petals pop-up on Delancey Street. So February 12th to 14th, all New Yorkers can.
So they did basically a pop-up in New York where it was this whole type of experience where, yes, you could buy the plushie, but there was a lot of other things involved as well. You could buy these custom drinks. There you could have your picture taken as a couple, and it was kind of like this mood picture. But yes, basically they managed to sell out of whatever their drop is. I don't know how many units there were, but here they have it on their shop.pudgypenguins page. They have the Valentine's plush bouquet, and it's sold out. I don't know how many units it was, but usually Pudgy Penguins usually does a fair amount, talking about tens of thousands of units at $50 per plushie. So not really
what people buy.
Yeah. And I think what they've done here is they converted their online popularity on their Instagram, on their TikTok pages. I know Jayden said it a few times before on the lives of people sharing gifts of Pudgy Penguins or other NFT projects. They don't even know it's an NFT project. They just share it because they like the penguins.
She said as much on the infomercial. She was like, it's an internet-born thing. Like, okay. No.
Yeah,
get it
so
right.
But it's made waves.
Ram NFTs down your throat. This is an NFT project, not internet.
Yeah.
Erica Lee wrote an article as well on it. So and the pop-up has been successful as well, I believe. So that's something really interesting.
But this, firstly, Burge, as your first Burge banger, because we're gonna make this one the inaugural one. This is the first one because the last Burge bite, it was very good, but it wasn't named right. We've got to just tip the hat to Luca Netzi. And this guy's a fucking beast. Like, come on. Like, this is. I think what people probably don't appreciate is the fact that this actually takes skill to execute this stuff. This is not just, the community did it and blah, blah, or we supported the end. No. This is actual execution from a founder who's doing this. And this shit's hard. I know there's a few NFT founders who are watching this because they've shared it. But this stuff's hard to execute. So then it becomes a play on who the founder is. Now, I maintain, I think Pudgy Penguins got really lucky in the fact that it was once a failed project. It was interesting. I was watching an interview with Luca, and he was reading out his messages he was sending on X to the original Pudgy Penguins founders, basically saying, what the fuck are you guys doing? You're running the shit show and blah, 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 blah. And he put his money where his mouth was. He kind of put 420 Ethereum into it, or raised money to buy it. Then within 2 months, the royalty element of the NFT just disappears.
Yes.
But he's pivoted, and I mean, you got to tip your hat to the guy. I mean, he's fucking doing such a good job.
Yeah, on that point, Jane, that's a great. I watched this clip of a podcast. I haven't been able to watch the full podcast yet because I couldn't find it, but it was talking about he ends up buying this business, and the business initially is making him $800K a month, and then it goes after 3 months it goes to zero because you have the FTX collapse, and then you have the Blur drama and also the royalties. But Blur comes out and royalties go to zero, and the business goes from generating $800K a month to zero, and he's like, well, what the fuck do we do now?
Yeah, I know. Yes. I mean, go on, Simon.
I was going to say, talking about royalties, talking about the whole side of things, just want to say, is it about 4 days until the OpenSea latest treasure chests or whatever it is comes to an end, the rewards? Then what happens?
Well, so a lot of people
just
were
briefly
thinking,
on this, because I'm fascinated to know what's
a lot of people were thinking, oh, there's only going to be one wave, right? Wave one happens, then wave two gets announced, and then people are like, oh, there's going to be another wave, and then this negativity starts to happen because the wave one, like the rewards weren't great, and then a lot of people kind of aren't participating anymore in the future waves, wave two and wave three. People definitely thought, oh, the token's definitely going to launch after wave three. Well, now, as you say, we're on wave 5 and it's ending in 5 days' time. We do know that
there is something, isn't there?
Yeah, the last thing that we heard from the foundation, from the OpenSea Foundation, was that the Sea token was going to be launched in Q1 of this year. Usually
was there a mention, Burge, of it actually happening after wave 5? Was that the clear message or not?
I don't think it was, and I think that's why there's always been this speculation, and people have been like irritated that there's another wave coming. I mean, firstly, I think I've said this on a previous live, but I think the waves are going to continue. I don't think they're just going to stop when the TGE happens. I think they're going to continue. The whole point is they're trying to make this rewards program that, yes, it doesn't make you can't make money really doing it, but it gives you a little bit back. It's a bit like a rake back. You're getting a little bit back for using the platform and buying NFTs and tokens through OpenSea.
Yeah.
But what I would say, Simon, I think you are onto something, because we're in the 11th of February. They only have it either has to be at the end of wave 5 or at the end of wave 6, because that's all we have until Q1's over. Until March is finished.
Yeah.
Q1, like, usually these waves last for about a month. So if it's not at the end of wave 5, it'll be at the end of wave 6. I think it makes more sense to do it at the end of wave 5. I mean, sounds a bit better, to be honest. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they choose.
I agree. And I was thinking, I was starting to lose the will to live with them after about wave 2 or 3.
Yes, yeah, a lot of people were.
But can I just say, because I'm buying so many Del Mundos, it's like I've been reignited. I'm actually going back to the rewards and going, and I've opened another chest. This is fantastic. So
it's worked out well for you.
Yeah, but not because I've been trying to farm it or anything. It's just because I'm buying.
Yeah, just because you're buying Del Mundos.
I'm buying what I want. Yeah.
Folks, Burge, Simon, this has been absolutely spectacular. We've gone for an hour and 45 minutes. This is the most fun I have all week. And you know what? When I dive off of here, I get a whole bunch of DMs from people just saying, guys, really enjoyed the chat, really good listening and all that sort of stuff. I think people miss the fact that we probably fucking enjoy this more than the people listening. Like if there was no one listening, we would probably just have the same conversation. In fact, some of the conversations before we go live on air are probably some of our best chats, because we're kind of like, and I'm like, Simon, or like it's me sometimes, like guys, just stop talking, because we've got to
save this for the live.
Yeah, we've got to go live.
Yeah.
But really appreciate both your inputs. Tomorrow we've got a live stream with the OG artist Coldy. It's at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be the three of us. I think, Burge, you can make it. Well,
for a bit.
You're locked in now, anyway, mate.
Yeah.
Committed.
All your adoring fans in the comment section are going to want to hear from you. I will just do one shameless plug. Burge is doing an in-person meetup in London. Burge, just remind me the date. Is it next Tuesday?
It's Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday the 24th of February, Soho, London. If you're in the UK, try and make it to this event. You won't want to miss it. And this is bringing together a bunch of different NFT communities, a bunch of important people in the space. And I really think it's going to be valuable because, yes, I could have waited till a bull market to launch something like this and run these IRL events. But I think meeting people who are in the space now, you know that they're the real deal. Like, there's no one who's going to come to this event that's in it just to make that's in NFTs and crypto just to make a quick buck. Like, they're only coming to this event if they're like a passionate diehard. That's ride or die NFTs.
I'll just dive in there with guys. Burge is very fucking good at organizing these events, these in person, and they're fucking legit. And the venues you go to are brilliant. And I think it's like £20, and you get drinks and food and all sorts of stuff. If you're based in London or you're based anywhere in the UK, just make sure you get there for this event. It's going to be good. Give Burge a message because.
And also, just to say that it's a mix of lots of really good collections coming along as well, isn't it?
Yes.
And obviously with NFT Paris not being there's an appetite for people to want to meet up.
Yes.
But brilliant. Give Burge a message, guys. The other thing
Delmundos are invited. Delmundos
are invited. Yeah, I know.
As well as World Women in Chimpanzee.
In fact, that's the only reason why you're coming, Simon.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be addressed as a
spokesperson.
Me and Burge, the World of Women event was the first time we'd seen each other in 3 years. Bearing in mind we've had this communication. I have actually never met Simon in person. So we're going to be at this event. It's going to be the three of us, and we're going to be like, and everyone's going to be like maybe meeting Burge or whatever, and I'm going to be like, Simon, that's you, but we've been talking for like nearly a year now, and we haven't met in person. It's crazy.
I know.
Guys, I'm gonna end the stream there. For those that you were listening, I just want to give a shout out. Joshua, thanks for listening in. Dimcat, thanks for sharing. Dave, thanks to everyone who shared the live stream. Really appreciate it. If you want the recording, you can get it on Apple Podcast or you can get it on carrotlane.com. It'll be sent straight to your inbox and you can get the recording back. Guys, thanks for joining.
Great.
I enjoyed that. And until tomorrow with Coldy,
tomorrow,
we'll see you then.
Yep.
Great. See you then. Bye.